Boker Tov. Today's daf is daf Ayin Beis and Avodah Zarah. We've been Frachen Kol Beis Yisrael and the Sunnah about Sarah Shivya. Yesterday we got down about 5 lines on the page. We're continuing our discussion of do you have to fix the price? If you fix the price before you sold the wine to the Oved Avodah Zarah, to the Goy. So if you fix the price, that means that when he measured it out, before he measured it out, your price was fixed, so then it's a good deal, and it's the Goy's wine, which is Yain Nesach. But if you didn't fix the price yet, then it's not a sale. And therefore, if the Goy touched the wine, you measured it out to him, that wine is still your wine. And if it's your wine, it became Yain Nesach, you can't have enough from it, you can't sell it, you can't take money for it. So here we have a story, Ahu Gavra on the 5th line of the page. Ahu Gavra Damar Lechavrei. Reuben said to Shimon, Imaz vina laha ara. If I sell this, if I decide to sell, I'm not very sure if I want to sell, but if I sell this land, the chamas I'm going to sell to you. Don't worry, you're first in line. Many times people say, you ever had that people come, I have people all the time come and say, when you're ready to sell your car, let me know, I want that car, People come over, you say, I want that house. So the guy says, okay, if I ever sell, I'll sell to you. What happens in real life? He sold it to somebody else. Now, for the same price.
You got a better price. Why
Well,
not?
okay. Now, if you got a better price, then you're right. Why not? We'll talk about that case later. There's going to be a case like that too. But here we just sold it to another guy, presumably the same price. Amar Yosef Kanakama. The first guy gets it. Now, why? Did he make a deal? He did make a deal. Why? Because when Rashi explains that when he told this guy, the first guy, if I sell, I'll sell to you, he made a kinyan. He did a handshake, made a kinyan or something, or some sort of a kinyan chalipin, made a kinyan on it in some form. So then he's committed to it. I'm only a buy of a low pasuk, but there was no price. He didn't fix a price. How can you say it was a deal with no price? If I decide to sell, I'll sell to you. Okay, we make a kinyan, you're going to sell to me. Fine, but there's no price. Without a price, why is that a deal? Maybe he says he'll ask for an exorbitant amount. Or the buyer will say, I'll buy it for, $3 or something, we want to buy a less amount. How do we know when there was no price fixed, there's no acquisition here? It's not our Mishnah. You sell your wine to a guy. Pasuk, again, we say guy, we mean an Avodah Zarah who makes the Yain Nesach. Pasuk, if you had a fixed price before you even measured it out, then you're allowed to take money for it. Why? Because once the price was fixed and the guy made the acquisition, he made a mashiach or a kinyan, he made a kinyan, a hakbah, whatever he did, it's his wine. It's his wine. It became his wine before it was Yain Nesach. So when you sold it, it wasn't Yain Nesach. But if you measured it out before the price was fixed, that means that the goy could have turned it into Yain Nesach by putting his finger in there or stirring it. Then you're not allowed to take money for it because you're getting money for Yain Nesach. So what do you see? That if you where there's no fixed price yet, there's no deal. My havila. So what's the halacha there? Gemara says, what do you mean my havila? Could a community just prove it from our Mishnah? Mishnah says when there's no fixed price, if you haven't fixed the price yet, there's no deal. There's no deal. Maybe we're more machmar yain nesach. Maybe normally it's even if you didn't fix a price, it's a good deal in the case of a house or a car or something like that. But over here, when it comes to yain nesach, we're concerned that we're more machmir. And we say, you know what? Maybe the guy didn't acquire it yet if there was no fixed price, and therefore he was menasech your wine. He made your wine into yain nesach, and you can't have enough from it. You can't sell it. So maybe yain nesach is different. So we have to bring a different proof. Tashma. We'll bring a proof from this following case. Rabbi Meir said, there was a story that happened like this at Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda brought it to Rav Huna's attention. Upashta, and they decided the matter meha from this case, the Tnan. Let's say there's a purchaser who's interested in buying some goods that the seller has on his trucker's back or his workers or something. These people are schlepping stuff for the seller, and the buyer says, "Okay, come bring it into my house," and it's still on their backs. Basically brought it to his house. That's not a sale because he didn't make a mashiach. As long as it's still on the backs of the seller's workers, then he hasn't done anything. Bein pasuk shlamad, whether you fix the price but he didn't yet measure it out, or bein madad achlo pasuk, or whether he measured out but he didn't fix the price. Lo kana. There's no kinyan yet because he hasn't done anything. He hasn't made a mashiach. Ushen yichol nachsabo. They can both go back on the deal. Parkan, but if he unloaded them, took them off the backs of the seller's workers, then Pasak Ashla Marad, if you fixed the price and he made Mashiach because he unloaded them off the backs of the workers, Ashla Marad, nobody can go back on it. Even if he hasn't measured it. Why? Because there's a fixed price and he made a Mashiach, even though you haven't measured out exactly how much you're going to buy. They can't go back. But if you haven't fixed the price, even if you measured out, go back on the deal. So what do you see over here? That it all depends on if you had a fixed price or not. Even when it's not Yayin Nesach. When it's not Yayin Nesach, it's not a question of Yayin Nesach. Yayin Nesach maybe is more chumrah. We see even though it's not Yayin Nesach, if there's no fixed price yet, there's no deal. Nobody agrees to something. I'll pay whatever you ask. I want to buy it no matter what. People don't usually do that. So if there's no fixed price, it's not a deal. Another story. Yeah.
Even if you put it down for his house.
Yeah.
He took it off his back.
Took it off his back, and there was no fixed price.
No fixed price.
Yeah, that just means we're going to discuss it. I made a kinyan, but it's not a deal until we know the price. Another story like this, right? That he said, this is the story that Kirk brought up. Reuben said to Shimon, if I sell this land, I'll sell it to you. Don't worry, right? For $100. He said $100. If I sell this land, if I decide to sell, I'll sell it to you for $100. Then he sold it to somebody else for 120. He got a bigger price. Rav Kana said, like we saw before, Rabbi Yosef had said Kanakama, even though the Rambam says it's only if there was a pasuk dama. Then from the first case we saw today, it's mashma that there was no fixed price, so it can't be a good deal. And you have to have a fixed price, as we proved over here. So he says over here, in this case, there was a fixed price, right? He said, Reuben said to Shimon, if I decide to sell this land, I'll sell it to you for $100. Don't worry. Made a kinyan, all that. Then he sold it. I haven't decided yet. If I decide to sell it, here's the price, right? And make a kinyan on that agreement. Then he sold it to somebody else for 120. So what happened was Rav said the first guy gets it because he did sell at the end. Maskov Yaakov from the Harpakot from that place said, what do you mean? Hi, Zuzi Ansu. Listen to this. The seller only sold it because he got 120. He didn't agree. He said, if I decide to sell for 100, I'll sell it to you for 100. But he didn't want to sell it for 100. So it's not good enough price. The other guy offered him 120. That's different. So he's entitled to sell it for the 120. All he promised that guy is effectively is, if I decide to sell for 100, I'll sell it to you for 100. But he didn't want to sell it for 100. For 120, he sold it. So in other words, the seller only agreed to it because he got the extra money. And the halacha is like that. The halacha is like this sheet of Rav Yaakov from the Harpakot from that place, because that's what forced him to do. Rashi says over here, even with the Mishnah a little bit below where we are now in the Gemara, Zuzi Ansu Zesh Noslo Me'av Esrim, Ansu, that forced him to sell it. Nobody wanted to pay 120. He wasn't going to sell it. In other words, it wasn't like he said, I'll sell it, the first case where he says, if I sell to anybody, I'll sell it to you for 100. We didn't have that case. The case we had before is he said, if I sell to anybody, I'll sell it to you. But he didn't fix the price, so that shouldn't be good. Then when he said, if I sell to anybody, I'll sell it for 100. If I sell to anybody, I'll sell it to you for 100 if I decide to sell. But he didn't want to sell it for 100. Somebody offered him 120, then he took it. So therefore, as long as nobody gave him 120, he wasn't going to sell it. He said, listen, if I sell it to you for what it's worth, I'll sell it to you. In other words, the real price was 100, but somebody offered him an exorbitant price. It happens sometimes, right? A guy sells something for a fixed price, and somebody says, I'll give you more because he wants to knock out the competition. So in this case, that's what forced him to do it. Therefore, he's not obligated to give it to the first guy for 100.
Isn't he then obligated to go back to the first one and say, I have this, will you meet this?
Will you meet that price? Okay, you're right. That would be a nice thing to do. That would be a nice thing to do. Get into a bidding war here. Presumably, maybe he did that. Maybe the first guy didn't want to pay for more than that. The guy said, listen, we agreed on 100. I'm not paying anymore. But the other guy offered more. He's entitled to. In other words, the seller could say, I wasn't going to sell. I decided not to sell it for 100. This guy offered me more. Therefore, he took it. Amrle, let's say in a case like this. I'll tell you what, I'll pay the price, right? Let's say he says, listen, we'll agree to the price. What price is it? we'll have it appraised, right? People do that too, right? They have it appraised. Not that the appraisers always know what they're talking about, but he says, well, if we get 3 guys together, we'll get 3 appraisers to do it. He said it like that. I feel train me gaflosa. Even if 2 out of 3, even if it's, let's say they get 2 guys, let's say they get 3 guys together. 2 guys say it's worth 50. 3rd guy said it's worth 60. You can go with the 2 out of 3, because it's like a court. He says, I'll take it like we agree on the price that a group of 3 appraisers will agree to. So then even 2 out of 3 is okay, because it's like a court. Why do you say 3? It's like a bezdin. 2 out of 3 is good enough. But let's say he said, not like if 3 people appraise it, but what 3 people say, then you have to have all 3. He said all 3 people have to agree, because he used that lashon. I'll pay whatever 3 people say to pay. Not what 3 people act as a court, like where 2 out of 3 would be good enough, but what 3 people say. So Adam says that all 3 people have to agree to the price. But let's say he says, as it is appraised by 4. Now, when he said 4 people, why 4? 4 already takes it out of the classification of being a court. When you say 3, you mean a court. When he said 4, he meant like everybody said, like you get all 4 people. So when it comes to 4, even if he said like it's appraised by 4, Adami Barbara, all 4 have the same thing. But Kolshkein certainly certainly if he says like all 4 people say, then you have to have all 4 people in agreement. Let's say they agreed to the 3 appraisers' views, and then we said 2 out of 3 is good enough because that's like a court. And 3 people came and they appraised it. The other guy said, well, I don't like that price. Let's bring 3 other guys. After he got the first opinion, three guys agreed, or 2 out of 3. He didn't like that, so he said, let's get 3 other guys. The Kim they're more professional. Amar Papa Dinu Demaka. Papa said, yeah, he could say, listen, the 3 people. He didn't say which 3 people. So first these 3 people said one thing. These 3 appraisers said one price. Guy can say, I'll bring 3 other guys. How do you know the second group is going to be more professional? Maybe the first group is more professional. Is like that. The ones they agree to 3 appraisers, and they all belong to the American Appraisers Association, they're valid appraisers, you have to accept them. Says the Mishnah. Now we're going to get more into the ayin nesach, etc. Not the less a mashbech. Now let just for our purposes, just so the nomenclature should be clear. When we talk about pouring from one container, it could be a pitcher, a jug, whatever you call it, but we'll call that a barrel. So that's the thing you're pouring from. And the thing you're pouring into, we'll call that the bottle, just so it's clear. Pouring from a barrel into a bottle. Okay. But when the bottle has a small mouth, what do you use? A funnel. Very good. So not less a mashbech. So when he poured it from the funnel, he took the funnel, mashbech is the funnel. In other words, a Jew was selling wine from his barrel into the guy's bottle, and he used the funnel. Fine, no problem, right? Funneled it in there. The guy could do with what he wants afterwards. Okay, but it was the guy's bottle, so the guy's bottle probably had already some yain nesach in it because he used that bottle. They're not that sanitary, so there was still some drops in there. Okay, the chazer mudad, or it could very be that as he poured it in, the guy could have shaken a little bit, stirred it, and made it into yain nesach. Then he used the same funnel. The chazer mudad. Now he used that same funnel. The barrel apparently is okay, right? The barrel is kosher wine that belonged to the Jew. Now he uses the same funnel, right, to pour it into the bottle of a Jew, right? Don't use the funnel that you pour the oil into your car from. Try to get a clean one, So now you use that same funnel to pour wine into a Jew's bottle. Let's say there's some wine that remained in there, that was held back in the funnel. Then also, why? Because the wine in the funnel, listen carefully, the wine in the funnel, as we'll see, could have come in contact with the wine in the bottle of the goy. Now that's our issue over here. Did it actually come in contact? Did the funnel touch the wine of the goy on the bottle? Or just the flow itself, meaning the stream of liquid that we discussed yesterday. We mentioned it yesterday. When you have a stream of liquid, I'm pouring a carton of milk. I'm pouring milk into a cup. And as I'm pouring it, there's a stream. It's a continuous stream as you're doing it, right? You can't do it. It doesn't take long. Otherwise, it'll all spill or you'll run out of milk. But in that short period, is that considered connection? So if the milk, let's say, was in the cup of milk, the bottle of milk, not the bottle, we'll call that the cup of milk was tamei, would it also be metame the milk back in the carton? Is it considered a connection? So that's what we're going to be discussing here. So here he says, if there's some wine left in the funnel, it's also. Now, why? Is it because of the flow, or is it not because of the stream or the flow of the wine that the funnel becomes no good, but rather because the funnel actually touched the wine in the bottle? That's what we're going to talk about. Then it's also okay. Let's say you're pouring from a barrel into a bottle. What's in the barrel, that's mutter. And even if you're pouring it into the bottle of a goy, what's in the barrel is okay. But what's in the bottle that you poured into, that's no good. Now we're going to talk about that. What is the case we're talking about? Rashi says here in the last line of Rashi in the Mishnah, talking about a goy who poured it. We're going to talk about what's that case over here. If you're pouring into wine into a Jewish guy's bottle, what's usher? What's the problem over here? So the Gemara is going to explain. We're speaking about a guy who's doing the pouring. But let's first talk about the first idea over here. Why is the wine in the funnel? If you get it, you poured wine first from through a funnel into a guy's bottle, and then use the same funnel, presumably without cleaning it, to pour it into a Jewish bottle, then you've got a problem. Now, why is it? Mishnah says here like this in Taurus. Nitzuk means the flow, the stream of liquid, or makatas, or if you have an incline, or mashka tefech, or a dripping liquid that's causing something to get liquefied, wet, something wet. So let's say I have here something which is tamei on one side, and something which is tamei tar on the other side. Okay, let's say I have something tamei food here, or something tamei, and I have something tar on the other side. They're not touching, but there is a little liquid in between, like we say, a stream of liquid, or it's on an incline, or something wet. That's not considered a chibur. In other words, that doesn't attach the thing which is tamei to the thing which is tar to be metame the tar thing. That's not good enough. Hashborim, but let's say it's a pool or a pond of water, then it is considered an attachment. That's considered more substantial. That's chibur l'tumah l'tara. What do you mean l'tara? Like for a mikveh. How do you make a mikveh today? They have a bore, right? And then they have the 40 saw in another one, and the bore of the rainwater is attached, so that's considered, it's got water in between. Well, Rashi brings down, let's say a different case where you had a similar case, but let's say you have a hole or a pit in the ground that doesn't have 40 saw, but together with there's an attachment of a stream or an incline or something wet between the two. Does that mean you can go to the mikveh in that little amount, even though that's not 40 saw? So it's not good. So he says, we are mashkat fech, mikveh shon, ain't a chibur. In other words, if you didn't tovel in 40 saw, you can't say that, well, this had 30 saw, but it was attached to another one, and that made it all one big thing. No, that's not good enough of a connection. Unless there's a pond in between. And there's a real stream of water, it's not just a stream, it's really water sitting there like a pond or a pool, then it is considered a connection. Okay, that's for Tumantara. Amrafuna, Nitzik, Mashka, these connections, whether it's a stream or an incline or just something wet, because what even though we said it's not a connection to be matar a mikvah, right? To be matar a mikvah, if the mikvah didn't have 40 saw to say it's connected, that's no good. In other words, when you go into a mikveh today, there's 40 saw in the mikveh, and the rainwater is attached to it via an aqueduct of some sort. So that makes it okay, but you're in 40 saw. But if you didn't have 40 saw, that's not going to be that amount of liquid will not make it into a kosher mikveh, and it won't be matame something. But for yayin nesach, it is considered. By yayin nesach, we're more machmer, and we say that the flow or an incline, whatever it is, like a stream, will make yain nesach, which means that in our case with the funnel, we could discuss about that funnel. When the bottle of the goy that he's accepting the yain and that's yain nesach, and there's a flow from the funnel, does the funnel also become yain nesach? Because there's a flow, even if the funnel is not touching the wine in the barrel. You understand the case? I'm pouring from my kosher barrel into a goy's bottle via a funnel, right? Now, the funnel, what about the funnel itself? If the funnel is not touching the wine, once it goes into the goy's bottle, the funnel is not touching the wine, but there's still a flow there. There's a flow. As soon as it touches the goy's bottle, there's still a flow from the funnel. So is the funnel no good or not? He says it's no good. That's what Rav Huna says. And therefore, any wine that's in the funnel, let's say there's some drops in there, are yain nesach. Why? Not that the funnel actually touched the wine in the bottle of the goy, but there was a flow there, right? As it was flowing in, that makes it yain nesach. That's what Rav Huna says. Where do you get this from? How do you know that? When it comes to these cases of nitzik and katabras, when it comes to tumah and tara, we said it doesn't work. So why would the stream over here make it work for yain nesach? From our mission, which you just quoted. Hanitzik is not considered a connection. It's not for tumah tara. But for yain nesach, which is more chumrik, it is considered a connection. And we would say that any wine in the funnel, even wine that never got down to the goy's bottle, is yain nesach. It has honey and nesach havichibur. You could say the opposite from the end of the price or the end of the Mishnah. Hashburan, a pool of water like a pond, is chibur tumah tara. The tumah tara havichibur nesach lo. It's not considered. Why only tumah tara? Why don't you say yain nesach too? So the Reish is mashma that it is chitzibur, that the stream or the stream of the flow would be a yain, would be considered a connection for yain nesach. But from the safe, it's mashma that it's not. You can't prove anything from this Mishnah. The Mishnah that we just quoted from Taras, you can't prove anything from there. All right, so let's try to prove it from our Mishnah that we just talked about the funnel. Tanan, notal es mashbech. You took the funnel. With the funnel, you measured out wine into the bottle of the goy, right? Into the bottle of the goy. Just checking something there. Yeah, right. Into the bottle of the goy. Then use that same funnel. It's a Mishnah we just said, right? Use the funnel to measure out wine into a goy's bottle. Then use the same funnel without rinsing it, without cleaning it, to measure into a Jewish bottle, right? So we said, if there's some wine that remained in the funnel, even a drop, then usher. Then all the wine is usher. The wine in the bottle of the Jew, this is the second allotment that you allotted wine into the goys. Then you allotted it with the same funnel into the Jews. It's all usher. Why is the wine in the funnel usher? Why is it usher? Must be la benitza. Isn't it because there was a stream? We're assuming that the funnel, right? You had a big bottle. The goy's bottle was a big bottle, and you used the funnel to pour it in there. And we're assuming that the funnel didn't actually touch the wine in the bottle once it got in the bottle, right? But there was a stream there. There was a stream from going from the funnel, from the barrel through the funnel, all the way into the goy's bottle, and the stream attached them. That's why what's in the funnel is so good. You said if there was a drop of wine in the funnel, it's usher. Meaning that when you then poured wine into the Jew's bottle, it would all be usher. Why is the wine in the funnel no good? But why is it also? Why is it? But can be seen over here when it comes to yain nesach, just the stream itself, the stream is considered an attachment. Tan Rav Chia says no. The answer is Rav Chia learned the price differently. You know what happened over here? It's not speaking about where the funnel was way up in the bottle, and once the wine fell into the bottle of the goy, it was not touching the funnel anymore. But rather assume, let's say that the bottle was full. The bottle of the goy was full, and the funnel actually touched the wine in the bottle. Right. Once the bottle was full there, so it forced it back. So now you know why the wine in the funnel is so good. Not because the stream is considered an attachment, but rather because the funnel itself was effectively in the bottle of the goy.
So the side, the side of his bottle,
That's right.
which may have some old wine on it.
Yeah,
The
could have
bottle
touched
is
it.
touching.
It touched it, exactly. So wait a minute. So you're saying then that's how Rav Chia learned it. Rav Chia said that it's also because the wine in the bottle pushed it back. In other words, it touched the funnel itself. But if it didn't do that, if the wine didn't push it back, my low, then it wouldn't be usher. So tipshit needs to get a chib, but then prove that the stream is not a chib. In other words, the only reason it's usher is because the wine in the guy's bottle actually touched the funnel. But if it didn't touch its mashma, then it would be okay. That proves that the stream is not considered an attachment, even for avodah zarah, even for yayin esek rather. It says low. So if the wine forced it back, tips the usher nitzik to boy, but the stream we still don't know. In other words, the way Rav Chia in the brisa, if the wine pushed it back, meaning the wine in the guy's bottle actually touched the funnel actually after it hit the bottle, it was touching the funnel. That's usher. But over a stream, we don't know. So we still haven't brought a proof. Tashma, let's bring a proof from the safe of our Mishnah. Amar Mikli, if you pour wine from a barrel into the bottle, Eshemara mena mutter. What's in the barrel is mutter. Hatabeni beni, it's mashma. What's in between? In other words, in the stream, what's in the barrel is okay. Mashma, what's in the stream would be also. Shema mira nitzak, but you see over here that nitzak, that a flow, a stream is considered an attachment. So if nitzak is a chibur, then I feel the gave demana nami litzer. Then even what's in the barrel should be usher. Should have all asked that, right? That it occurred to you, right? You saw, if it's considered an attachment, why are you only talking about what's in the funnel? What's in the barrel should also be usher, because all attached. Zalo kasha, the kamak of kufe could be that you poured it from the barrel, and then before the wine hit the bottle of the guy, you held back, you stopped pouring. You stop pouring, you cut it off. In other words, the stream from the funnel into the bottle, obviously from the funnel into the bottle, there was a stream, the liquid went in. But it could very well be that you can't say that the stream went all the way from the bottle and the bottom through the funnel into the barrel, because it could be that I pulled the barrel back. I cut it off before the wine actually hit the bottle of the goy. But still, the fact is, it's mashma that nitzik is a chibur, because it says that the wine in the barrel is okay, but not the wine in between the streams. Mashma that's considered an attachment. Stream is considered. Again, look at the seifa. In the seifa, Shiur tocha who also. What's in the bottle? What's in the bottle? That's also hada beni mushari. But again, what's in the stream between the barrel and the bottle? Mashma is mutter. Elamel again, you can't prove anything from here. Tashma. Now we'll bring another proof. Hamar mechavas labor. Let's say you're pouring wine from a barrel into a pit. Kilua chayore, the stream, the liquid jet that's going down from the barrel, misfat is from the end of the barrel, from the edge of the barrel, lemata below, asur. So what do you see over here? What's in the stream itself is asur. Mashma that the what we call a nitzuk, the stream or the flow, is considered an attachment. It's considered attached to the water below, to the wine below. Gemara says no. Talking about Rav Sheshes, here it's not speaking about that. Talking about a Jew who's pouring. We're talking about a goy poured it. Dasimi kocho, and the rabbis made exera that if a goy pours something, what he poured into a bottle is usher, right? Because because it came from his power. So even though he didn't touch the wine, but the Rabban made exera there too. So so again, if the guy poured it, so even what's in the barrel should be also, because he was holding the barrel. It says this idea that it was used by the power of the guy is what poured it, that's only an Isser Drabanan. The Huda Aser. The wine that came out of the barrel into the bottle, Gazra Rabbanan made exera there, since it came from the power of the guy. So it was empowered by the guy. That's also but what's in the barrel, the Rabbanan didn't make exera there. Again, when do we say yain is nesach? When it belongs to a guy, and the guy could have stirred it, or he could have had other yain nesach there from before. But if he just poured it without touching it, that's only exera drabanan, and the Rabbanan didn't make exera on what's in the barrel, only what came out of the barrel. Amru Rav Chisda, Lanis Abisa. Now, we go to Rabbanan, and I just want to quote this Rashi. Yeah, okay, we'll see. Well, the Rashi is really going on the next case, but it's the same idea. Okay, let's see the Gemara. The Rav Chisda told to these wine sellers that when you pour out wine for a goy, either cut it off, meaning when you pour, right, and you're going from the barrel into the bottle, even if it's via a funnel, make sure that you withdraw the bottle so that there's no direct stream going from the barrel into the bottle, right? Because if there's a stream, then what's in the bottle might contaminate what's in the barrel, right? Because he says that nitzuk, that the stream, when it comes to yayin nesach, is asur, right? Even though the stream doesn't work for tumah and tara by a mikveh or being metame something, but for yayin nesach it does work. So he says, cut it off. In other words, withdraw the barrel, or stand far away. In other words, Rashi says, and throw it in there. In other words, throw it in with a splash, throw it in from far away so that the liquid, that's the liquid stream, the splash between the barrel and the bottle are never touching, it's never touching the barrel. When it's touching the bottle, it's never touching the barrel. All right. Now, before we go to the next case, take a look at Rashi over here, about even where we are. Stop the upper part of the stream from the barrel. Before the end of the lower end of the stream reaches the bottle of the goy of a chavan. If it touches it before you stop, sulamani kitav won't cup. Here Rashi says that when it comes to yayin nesach, then a stream is considered an attachment. So if you pour from a barrel or a pitcher, good wine, into a goy's cup, and as you're pouring it, there's a stream there. There's one stream, then it ruins what's in the cup too. Therefore, he said,
In the bottom?
what's in the barrel. What's in the barrel also becomes usher. Correct, becomes usher because he held that the stream is considered an attachment for yayin nesach or machmer there. Rav, back in the Gemara. I'm just wondering about the Rashi, because Rashi says that's the halacha. The halacha, when it comes to tumah and tara, nitzuk is not considered an attachment unless it's literally a pool of water.
What's the distinction there?
Why yayin nesach?
No. In Tumatara,
Yeah,
that it is a little bit of water.
that's not considered.
But what's
A lot of water. A lot of water it's more than an attachment. It's like one big thing. You know, when it's a pool, it's like one big thing. That's how you have to understand it. All right. Again, Rava said to these people who poured out wine, when you pour out wine, make sure that no goy comes to help you. When you're pouring out wine, that's your job. Make sure nobody comes to help you. Dilma mishtatliso, because maybe you'll forget yourself. You'll become distracted. Vishadisu le and you'll put the barrel on the hand of the goy because of mikocha, and then it'll come out that he's pouring the wine. Ba'asr, and as we said, wine that's poured by a goy, the rabbi is asr. Listen to this. A man drew some water using a siphon. It says gishta bashkishta, meaning he used a large tube and a small tube, and he joined them together. You could do a siphon without that too, with one tube, but that's how they did it. They siphoned it off. You know, you put a tube into people used to steal the gas from your car. They would put a tube in there, blow it, and cause it start to come out. So he drew wine using a siphon. Also the chavim. The guy came, and the guy put his hand on the bigger tube of the siphon. Asr Rava l'kuli chamra. Rava asred all the wine, even though the guy did not touch the wine in the barrel. He touched the siphon. Only a couple of Rava, so they all complained to Rava. Papa said to Rava, Bamile, Rava, Bar Masla Rava. Some say it was Rava Asla, Bamil, and some say Ravino Rava. Everybody, it seems that either maybe one of the three or all three complained to Rava. But why should it be usher? The nitzuk, is it usher because of the flow? Shmamino nitzuk chibur. You see over here that nitzuk is considered an attachment because he was touching the siphon, which was attaching the barrel to the bottle. Says no, shiny awesome the kuli chamra gishta bas gishta gar. It's different over there because it's as if he touched the wine in the barrel. Because when the siphon takes the liquid from the barrel into the bottle, it's flow. It's a constant flow. In other words, it's not like you poured it by your hand. You poured a barrel with your hand through a funnel into a bottle, so it's only going in one direction. So therefore, what's in the barrel wasn't touched at all. But when you use a siphon, the water, the liquid is circulating in there. So it's therefore, he says, all the wine is considered in this to be touching the any wine in the siphon is considered ola. It's coming up by itself because it's not coming by your power, by gravity. When you hold a barrel on top of a bottle, here it's coming even without barrel. It's like coming up by itself, and therefore it's like you touched all the wine in the barrel itself. It's like it's like a long barrel. It's like one big barrel. Omar Marzutra Beid Rav Nachman. Kanishkinin Shari. What's Kanishkinin? Kanishkin is a drinking vessel that had many spouts, more than one spout. No, it had several spouts. Are you allowed to drink from that barrel? You had some kosher wine put in this big drinking vessel, and it had several spouts on it. And Goyim were drinking from one spout while you were drinking from another spout. So he said, Marzutra said, Rav Nachman said that you're allowed to do that. Why? Because when you're drinking, nothing is coming back into the vessel. You're just drawing out. That's only if the Jews stopped drinking before the goy. If the goy stopped drinking before you, then what was in there, what was in his mouth, and he was drawing in there, because something could have fallen back into the vessel, and then you can't do that. He went to the house of the exilarch. He allowed them to drink from a kishkin, and means together with a goy. That's what it means over here. Rashi is so over here he says Shari lishtos b'Yisrael Shekol's man Moses, as long as he's drawing in the water, where he's sucking in the water, the wine that's touching the mouth of the guy doesn't go back. So that's only if the Jews stop drinking first. But if the guy stopped drinking first, so some wine which might have touched his mouth might have gone back into the vessel. That would be a problem. You can have some say that Rabba Bar Huna Gufe he himself drank from that. Tosas has a problem with that. Tosas, what do you mean he himself drank? How can you drink? How could he drink? How did he know that he was going to start drinking for the guy? I mean, they're both drinking at the same time. Maybe the guy would stop drinking first, and some water might go back. We had this by animals. We had before, remember, certain animals that they drink and then it goes back out of their mouth, and some don't. Birds or whatever. We had that discussion. So here he says, how could he have done that himself? So it's mashma over here that he didn't actually drink it himself. Tosa says, he's just saying he was drinking with other Jews. And what's the point of that? That even though this is a fancy vessel, you're allowed to drink it even after the Churban. It's not a problem of drinking. It's like Simcha when everybody's drinking together. It's not also because of that. He didn't mean to say that he drank it together with a guy. But anyway, it does seem, Rav says you're allowed to drink with a guy as long as you make sure that you stop drinking before he stops. I don't know how you can make sure of that in advance. Tomorrow's Daf Ayin Gimel will be on the podcast. And on Sunday, Meretz Hashem, we'll start from the Mishnah at the top of Ayin Dalet. Tuesday, Meretz Hashem, we'll make a siyum. Have a good Shabbos, everybody. Kol Tov.